guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Valerie Adams is going to teach you how to bring the confidence and attract the partner of your dreams. We're going to dive into such a powerful conversation. Before that, I want to say thank you for tuning in, for choosing to be and become your greatest possible self, especially in the area of communication, dating, and romance. Just know, whether you are on your own, whether you are seeking a significant other, or you're in a committed relationship, or the relationship that you want to be in, just know that you are on the journey to being your greatest possible self, one step at a time. So thanks for showing up here. Next up is our iTunes review of the week. And this week I'm going to share, it is Anthony A, 93, who says, Chris, the man burns. Every podcast episode gets better and better. Not only that, you can tell how present and interested Chris is in each of the guest experts on his show. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate you, brother. If you want a chance to get shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, because I love encouraging and just being a champion for people, you can go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store and give us a review there. Thank you in advance for doing that. I'm going to introduce Valerie in just a second here. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This woman is just like making massive waves in this world, and I'm so stoked to have her back on the marathon for another interview. So definitely stick around till the end, because she is a blast. She comes with the wisdom, a powerhouse. You definitely want to stay tuned. Let's introduce Valerie, because Valerie is a dating and love coach, focusing on supporting women in building their confidence and their self-love so that they can attract their dream partner with ease and fun. I love it when it's so simple and easy and clear and straight to the point. Valerie, are you ready to rock the house, Superwoman?
So ready. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for having me.
Woo, woo. Oh my gosh, we're going to have a blast. So let's dive right in. The theme today is communication, dating, and romance. What does that mean for you, Valerie?
Oh my gosh, so many things. So communication, dating, romance, it means to me just being your authentic self, having fun, and feeling like you can be at home with whoever you're dating. The goal is to always be BFFs with the person you're with, the person you're dating. So like, that's really what comes to mind for me.
I love it. I love it. I think that's so important, is in the whatever stage you're in, right? Whether it's communication, whether it's dating, whether it's romance, it's like if you're not being yourself, you're trying to be someone else, then it's all eventually gonna like fall short. It's gonna crumble. It's not gonna work out, or like someone is gonna be dissatisfied because they're not getting like the realness, and so someone's gonna get tired of that, or eventually you're gonna be real, and then the person who you were trying to pretend for, they're gonna say like, oh, like that wasn't who you actually were, and so we don't want none of that. We're here to be our authentic, greatest possible selves. I love it. Love it, Valerie. Yeah. So I mentioned it really briefly. It's like super simple what you do, but in your own words, tell us what you stand for with your clients.
Yeah. So I believe that every single woman on this planet, she gets to be in a relationship where she feels adored, where she feels like a queen, where she feels like she's with someone who just wants to make her life better and easier, and where the relationship feels like a place to call home for her. And what I do is I support women in really gaining that confidence, really getting clear on what it is that they deserve and what they're a match for, and I'm committed to no woman ever settling for less than she deserves.
Amen. I love it. I love it. It's so true, because we really can have it all, right? And when we believe that, hey, oh, well, am I asking too much? Like I've heard that so many times, that a woman might feel like she's asking too much. And it's like, unless like I don't even know if that's possible. Like if you're attached to certain things and you think it's supposed to be a certain way, and like you're just like in a fantasy and not actually being with people and feeling your emotions and being authentic and things like that, then maybe. But I think if you're being real and you like pay attention to the chemistry and like what do you feel and what's like your authentic self and that connection, then like there's no such thing as asking for too much.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's what I hear from so many women, is they think that they're single because they're asking for too much. So they go, oh, well, the solution is to not be as picky, or to like shave down my list. And you end up severely compromising your values when you do that. And that still isn't the solution. So you can have it all, like you said.
Stand for those non-negotiables, like what has to be in place. Kind of get out. Amen. Yes, absolutely. So we're
you
going
need
to
to know
dive.
what those are.
Yes, yes. And we're going to dive back into your journey so people can get connected with you, Valerie. You've been on the show before, but for people who are just learning about you, let's let them know why did you get into being a love and dating coach?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I started the last time I came on this show, I was doing mindset coaching, which I friggin' loved. And I'm of the belief that I can help many people, just like many people can help me. We can always learn. And I love mindset. I love really understanding our words, our thoughts, our actions, and how they create our reality. And what ended up happening was I started working with women who they just like really were wanting to call in that relationship, and they had severe beliefs and blocks, like their walls were up high and they just had so many voices in their head saying they couldn't have what they wanted. And then started working with them, seeing them really step into their worthiness, getting results, getting boyfriends, going on amazing dates. And I was like, okay, there's no coincidences in life. So I meant to support women in this. And from my own struggles, I've been into reading like self-help books around love and men and dating from when I was about 16. I was dating a guy who was older, and he completely like played me, and I just knew I was so stupid. I could have seen these signs. Like I settled, I really like compromised my integrity in some ways. So I really got obsessed with understanding men and understanding how to, not be a doormat or not get taken advantage of. And so I loved giving my friends advice on it. I was always a stand, never settle. And I still settled along my path. And now really applying everything I've learned paired with all the self help and personal development and coaching I've done and I've received, I was able to attract my dream man, my king. And so passionate about showing women how to do that.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love that. I don't know for you, but for me, it was like when I least expected it or like needed it to happen, like that's when Petia came in, and it's like after doing the work and hiring coaches and doing all these things to work on myself, my own mindset. I even had a coach specifically coaching me around like love and relationships and like challenging me to get outside of my comfort zone, to go for it. I wouldn't have done these things unless I had that advocate, that cheerleader, that person who helped me to understand what are the thoughts that are coming up, what is my paradigm about relationships, and is it effective? Is it giving me the results that I want? Because if you don't have the results and you want, most likely there's something in your paradigm, in the thoughts that you're thinking or the beliefs that we get to change. And so I love that you're out there empowering women to do exactly that.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah,
I
love it. I love it. So let's start diving in, especially to attract the man that we want. For you, like I don't want a man, but like for women who want that man, where do they start? Like, what is the foundation to start like making that happen?
Yeah. So it's funny because, women will think that it starts at like, oh, where can I go meet more men? Like, where are they hanging out? And let me get in front of them. And what I say is it's actually the opposite. It starts with you, and it starts with you getting really clear on what you desire, and like you had touched on non-negotiables, what's really important, what you're not going to settle on, and then living your best life, creating life around what it is that you want to be doing, the people you want to be surrounding yourself with, activities you want to be doing, how you're spending your free time. And that's when I believe that the man will find you, and your person is looking for you and is on his way to you, and he's just waiting to have that entryway.
I love it. So we're going to dive into all of those. Number one, let's start with like getting clear on what you want. Like what does that really mean, and why are women not connected with what they really truly want?
Yeah, totally. So this is something that used to happen for me, and it happens to a ton of my clients, where they will go on dates with guys who are like kind of sort of maybe what they want. Like he fits a couple things, but they can't really put their finger on it. Or they go on the date and they're like, yeah, I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to travel. Or worse, they'll get into a relationship with someone, spend a year and a half with them, and they end up breaking up because that person doesn't want kids and they do. Or, that person doesn't want a relationship and they want a relationship. Like that happens all the time. And that, I believe, comes from lack of clarity and lack of being connected to the why. So how will that feel to be with a person who wants to have a family? How would that feel to be with a partner who has this like insatiable hunger to travel the world and who also, has the freedom to do that? Like, how will that feel? So being clear on what you want, why you want it, and not being afraid of, eliminating people. That's what women do. They go, well, if I have this list, and like, am I turning away good guys? And my belief is your person will never miss you. So there's nothing you could possibly do for your person to not find you, but you're definitely stalling it, and you're definitely making it harder for him to find you when you're not clear.
I love it. I love it. So really the feelings, like what would it be like? What would the experience be like? It's almost like we have to live that in our mind first before we're able to experience it in reality. We have to get clear on how's it going to feel in our body. What are the sensations? Where would we go? What would it feel like when these things are happening, so that we can identify, hey, this is what I wanted to create. And it gives our GPS, our intuition, accurate like kind of measuring, so to speak, or tracking to say, are we on track or are we off track? But if we haven't done that work up front, then we can't know if we're on track or off track.
Yeah.
Or at least be able to verbalize it, because we might deep down inside be like, this isn't what I want. But how do we actually communicate that?
Yeah, I love what you said, Chris, about like really like feeling it in your body, because everything we desire in life, it's because we believe we will feel a certain way when we have that thing. Like that's what drives everything that we do and try to create in our lives. So why wouldn't we take the time to really feel into it now and think about it now and be sure that it is what we want? Because we know that feeling is on the other side of going on dates, putting yourself out there, making a list, like whatever it takes.
I love it. So let's talk about the list, like having a list of like what this person's characteristics or qualities or negotiables and non-negotiables. Like, tell us, how do we dive into that and create something like that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I am such a stand for compatibility. And I think a list gets a bad rep because a list is for you to get really clear on compatibility. And a list isn't like, oh, they like Disney movies and like they love to cook. And, those are all like things, but it's really about what's going to suit you and be compatible with you as a person. So something I have my clients do is they make a compatibility plan. I have this really awesome training around it where they can get really clear on the things that actually matter. So like, religion, how that person views finances, what is a priority for that person in a relationship, like certain preferences, like literally the things that people end up getting divorced over. Wouldn't it be great to be clear on that in the beginning and then start attracting from that confident space? So I'm all about lists. I'm all about compatibility blueprints, and I believe that clarity gives you confidence. I don't know if you feel that way. So like, imagine walking into dating knowing like, yep, this is what I'm available for. These are non-negotiables, and like, I'm worthy of having what I desire.
Yeah, it's just like a completely different experience. You're either wandering or you're saying, all right, like I'm doing great on my own. And I think that's another component for a lot of women is like, you don't need someone else. You can want someone else and it could take your experience to the next level, but you on your own are like completely perfect as you are. And if you feel like you need someone to complete you, then there's some deep work that you can do there. I'm sure you've taken your clients through that stuff, and I'm sure that stuff comes up too, right?
Nobody needs a man or like a woman, but I believe that we need love, and we need a life where we get to have our desires fulfilled, like beyond our wildest dreams.
Yeah. And I think the needing love, it's like, first, are you willing to self-sustain and self-fulfill and have that be enough for you? Like, are you able to treat yourself like a goddess, right? Is that something you're checking on the box first before you're looking for someone else to treat you like a goddess? Because if you're not doing it yet, then why would someone else want to do that, Yeah.
Yeah, 1000%.
Powerful. So you said the compatibility plan like really maps out hey, who is this person, the blueprint, compatibility blueprint, like who is this person, and not just does this person like Disney movies, which, I mean, we can jump to conclusions about what does it mean to make a list and what is important to be on the list, but it's like, what are the actual the levers that make the difference, the sliders, the indicators, the values that really make a difference. And it sounds like you put together a really powerful tool or resource for people, and women especially, to discover that and get clear on that.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, it's not about the guy. It's never been about the guy. It's never about like him. It's about how you want to feel in the relationship and what things are going to make you feel secure, supported, happy, feeling like that, you know, you finally met your match, not your other half, like you said, to your point, not someone who's going to complete you, but someone who's going to match you. So it's never, it's with my clients, it's like we actually rarely talk about men. It's about you and how you want to feel and what you're calling in.
I'm curious, Valerie, what did you discover that surprised you over the last year of being like really diving into love and dating coaching? Like what surprised you?
Just that so many women don't feel like they're enough, and they go into dating with a mindset of like, oh my gosh, I hope he likes me, like I hope I can impress him, I just want to be enough for him. And they constantly feel like, oh my gosh, there's so many prettier girls out there, there's so many, you know, other options, why would he pick me? And it's like, you know, my clients are beautiful, every single one of them so beautiful. They are in total ownership of their life, they have amazing careers, they're entrepreneurs, like they are. I look at them and I'm like, you're the full package, how can you not feel enough? And then at the same time, I'm filled with gratitude because I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that I get to guide them and show them. Because when you put someone or something on a pedestal, you're saying I'm beneath them, I'm like, they're above me. And so what I'm teaching women to do is to realize like no one's on a pedestal, like you're not on one, the men aren't. And so that's been really surprising, Chris, like really seeing how many women have that conversation. And it's pretty much every woman I work with doesn't feel enough to have her dream relationship.
What are some practical things that women can do to like really raise up their self-esteem and how they see themselves, to not put someone on a pedestal?
Totally. Yeah. So like it's all about turning back to self-love. And at the end of the day, that's what I feel like I do is self-love. And it's with a focus in dating and relationships, because it all starts with you. And like you said, being that goddess first. And where we really go is like, you know, what makes you feel good? What are things that you love? Like every day, how can we build your confidence a little bit more? What do those things look like so that by the time you attract your person and you're on the date, you feel really amazing. You're like, yeah, I get to be here. Like he's lucky to be with me. So I love, you know, challenging my clients to get out of their comfort zone. I believe that's what builds confidence. And I'm sure just you, with everything you've created, it hasn't come from your comfort zone. And my experience with you is that you are very, very confident. And I know that came from constantly challenging yourself. So I really challenge my clients to get uncomfortable every single day, putting themselves out there and really getting clear on what they want, and to let go of people pleasing, but really just to come from the place of what's going to make Valerie happy, what's going to make Valerie feel good today, acting from that space.
And it's like, it's really caring about how do I feel and what is important to me first. And I think when we get practiced at that, at giving ourselves that, then when we do it for others, it's coming from a really authentic place too. Circling back to that authenticity, it's like when I'm practicing and I know I'm taking care of myself and like doing this on myself, then it's like it's in integrity for me to really like kind of blow the lid wide open and say, hey, Petia or significant other, like, hey, like I want to just wow you. Like, what do you care about? How can I give you a massage and like, you know, just make you feel like a queen or whatever it might be. So it's like when we're doing that for ourselves, then we can really show up so powerfully, so grounded, so stable for that other person that we want to give our best to.
Yeah, giving from that overflow.
Yeah.
I love that.
So good. So good. So when it comes to like attracting that that man, right? First, we have to get clear on it. And then how do we actually bring that person in? You mentioned at the beginning, it's not so much about like going out and going to these places where guys are at, although that could be a part of it. But it's more about like getting clarity. What else is important in attracting that guy into our lives?
Yeah. So, I mean, I just really think that we get to confront the things that hold us back. So a lot
Mm,
of women think they're like, oh yeah, like once I go on more dates or like I just need to put myself out there more. And it's like taking action is actually not what's going to have your person come to you. Like
mm,
when you take inspired action, absolutely. But I mean, I know the way you and Petsia met, it's because you both were doing something for yourself
yep.
and you weren't going with the intention of how can I meet, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, right?
Right,
And
right.
so really what I see stopping so many women is that they haven't looked at the beliefs that they keep brushing up against. They
Mm,
everything that they're holding on to that they're not aware of. So limitations around, oh my gosh, every guy's going to cheat, all the good guys are gone,
mm,
relationships don't last, like how those really stop them. And really doing the hard work of forgiving. I've done a ton of forgiveness work.
yeah.
I was holding on to so many grudges with exes for years where I would literally think about one of my exes. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope he's like suffering right now. And, I put so much energy into the past and
Yeah.
fear of the past repeating itself. And, meanwhile, I was staying stuck. I was single for over 3 years in my
Mm,
mid to late 20s when all my friends were in these amazing relationships. They were getting engaged, married, having babies. And my mindset was what was stopping me.
mm.
Meanwhile, the same ex that I was like dwelling over, he got married, he had a baby, like, and I just stayed in the same place. So to answer your question, it's really the inner unsexy work. Like,
Mm.
yes, on the top, it's like, yeah, do things that make you feel good, but really doing that hard work and really be willing to look at what's not working and being open to rewriting your future. That's where I believe like the true work comes in.
How long does that process take, or can it take?
Yeah. So I think, of course, there's so many tools and practices. And what I include in my programs are, trainings and inner work, journaling prompts, exercises of letting go. Like if we're looking at time, that could be a few hours, but it's a daily practice and it's a
Mm,
daily willingness to shift yourself. So what I look for is more so the consistency because it's not like you do work on a limiting belief and then it never comes up again or you forgive your dad or you forgive the mean guy in sixth grade who said you were fat. Like, it's not like that never shows up again, but it's about being willing to look it in the eyes when it does come up and actually apply what you've learned until that belief is no longer a part of your reality.
mm. So you mentioned a couple different techniques or processes that your clients go through when they're part of your program. Let's say something does come up, like a trigger or a past memory or something that like just really um, stirs up some negative emotions. Like what is your one of your favorite like go to techniques to be able to dissolve that?
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy you asked that. So I love just always challenging the belief. So
Mm,
when that comes up, we never want to judge it. And we can be thankful that it's still there because it shows us that there's still opportunity to grow. There's still opportunity to overcome. And it gives us great polarity and contrast. Like, I don't want to feel this way anymore.
yeah.
So what I love doing is really like always challenging the belief and asking, is this ultimately true? Like says who? And can I
Mm,
think of one like morsel, one scrap of evidence that can completely make this be BS. So a lot of my clients have trauma around being cheated on in past relationships or men lying. So what I always invite them into is like, okay, so I want you to make a list of men who you know, and they can even be celebrities, men who you know they are completely committed to the woman they're with and they would never cheat, right?
mm,
So the second they can find that evidence, it's like that's what you get to believe, that gets to be your reality. So
mm,
I love always challenging it. Is this ultimately true? Like, says who? Can you think of evidence to disprove this? And like, what is a better feeling story you can tell? What feels better to
mm,
believe? How about stepping into the belief that your person, your man, he's going to be so happy to be committed to you?
mm, mm. I love it. It's just like really shifting all the thoughts that are coming up around like the reality that we don't want to maintain anymore. It's like, how do we identify that, get aware of it, like write down these things that come up, and you have journaling prompts and writing prompts in your programs and stuff. So I think that's like number one is, hey, what is coming up? What is the belief? Identify the limiting belief. And then from there, we can do all sorts of beautiful processes that can like transform it. And it's first being aware of it. And then also, I think even before the belief happens the next time around, like in the moment, it's like getting prepared. What am I going to do when this comes up again? Like, do I have a process ready? Do I have a 5-minute process ready? If I have, an hour to like really dive in and like go to work on some gnarly story recreation, like, am I going to do that? Is that something I'm prepared for? So it's really having that arsenal and like the strategy ready to go. And I think even with the best intention and the best strategies, like sometimes we might just be so derailed by the trigger that it's like we are just stuck there,
Yeah. What I would say too, what came up for me is about being really clear on like the prices you've already paid and how you've already suffered from buying into this belief.
Wow.
So like really getting in relationship with your pain. So like when this belief has popped up, like what prices have I paid? How have I let it stop me? Holy crap, I've let myself, not be open to love, and I haven't gone on a date in a year and a half because of this belief, right? So getting in relationship with the pain and then having that kind of like fed up, enough is enough, never again moment, so that when it does pop up, we recognize it, like you said, pull out a tool in your arsenal and be really reconnected with like, yeah, I've already let this belief steal time for me. And like, I'm committed to moving past this quickly.
Yeah. I'm curious for you, Valerie, what has you want to keep discovering new techniques and new tools and new strategies like for mindset reprogramming and transformation? Because like so much, and like I know you're just this voracious learner. Tell us a little bit more about like what keeps you driving for more.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm obsessed, right? Like I'm literally obsessed. That's what it comes down to. I'm like, wait, so you mean that I could have a better life and human experience by learning a different tool, learning a new way, like being shown a new way? Like I'm always open for being shown a better way. I'm always open for having more. Like I come from that abundant space. So like if I've been using a tool that's been working really well with my clients and then I learn something else, I cannot wait to get on my client sessions that week and share a new tool. Like I believe in that overflow. I believe in being a student of life, like for life, forever until the day I die. Like I'm never going to be at a place where I'm like, yep, I've learned it all. Like even Tony Robbins is committed to learning every day. Yep. So I'm just like, wait, so we can get out of pain quicker and maximize our pleasure and step into like pleasure and joy sooner. Like I'm in, show me how. I'm committed.
I love it. What do you think the impact of social media is on your clients and how they view love and finding love and dating?
Yeah. So do you mean social media like Instagram and Yeah. So it depends, because that can be your best friend and your worst nightmare, because like social media, most of my clients, we find each other through Instagram. They find me through a hashtag, right? So, and that's how I like have found pretty much so many people who have had a big influence on my life. So I believe if you use it as a tool, and there's so many people who are just like you and me, and we're spreading positivity and yes, you can. And, we're really like offering value. And so that's where I think Instagram is great. And then on the flip side, it can be the biggest like kiss of death around comparison, feeling like you're not enough. I also think it can, if you're attached to, let's say I have a client who's attached to a guy and she's watching his social media like a hawk. And then it becomes this like, oh my God, he hasn't texted me, but he like watched my story or he liked my photo. And it's like this fake, like, that's my favorite when I ask a client, I'm like, okay, well, what have you heard from him this week? And the answer is no, because he hasn't reached out. But what they'll say instead is, well, he liked my photo, like he commented a flame, or like he's been watching my stories. And it's like, so the answer is no, like he hasn't reached out to you. So social media can I think it can kind of like encourage passiveness and laziness. But I also think that it can be a really amazing tool.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. What is your intention with your social media and how you use it to inspire and empower your clients and your audience to be more effective at attracting the love of their lives?
Yeah. So my intention is just to be giving value and being really open. So I used to be like, oh, I need to plan my social media in advance. And of course, I have like videos that I've made, but I just intuitively feel into what the women I like need. And my come from is like, if this can impact one person, if this can open someone up to show them what's possible, to show them a new way of living, like it's all been worth it. Like that's always my goal. So I just like, I'm blown away by how much free inspiration, knowledge is out there and how many people are like us and giving value. So that's my goal, is to give value. And of course, like I do run a business, so I'm always open for women really seeing my work, seeing what I'm giving. And if they resonate with me, I'm always open for them finding ways to really go in deeper and work with me at a deeper level.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it, Valerie. I know a big part of today we want to talk about is how to make it easy to attract that dream partner. Like, what would you say it is that makes things easier, makes the flow happen the most?
Yeah. So I say first and foremost is to have an intention versus an expectation. So that what that looks like is being really unattached to the how. That we get so stressed about how, like I do this in business all the time. If I have a certain income goal for the month, I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to do that? And it's like, it's never about how, it's about an intention and what you're committed to being. So what I believe it takes to make it really easy is to first be in the belief that you're worthy of it, first and foremost, and to also trust that everything is working in your favor and like the timing's planned. When I think of you and Petya, when I think of how I met my boyfriend, during an emotional intelligence seminar, and I just think of so many women who have met their boyfriends without even trying. Like that's what I invite everyone into, is to be open to it being easier than they've imagined, being open to it happening in a way that they never could have predicted, and like really doing the behind the scenes work, which I know you're a really big stand for this. I know you've done a ton of work, and it's like, that's the hard part. So the hard part isn't being in the right place at the right time. The hard part is doing the stuff that no one is rewarding you for, but you just know, you're like, I know that this is going to pay off. And I know that everything's going to compound, and that's going to help me elevate. And I'm of the belief that the better you get, the better you attract. So I remember spending Friday nights like reading a personal development book or like doing a course. And I remember thinking like, gosh, my dream man, like he's doing the same thing. Like, wow, I'm really like up leveling myself. So I just know who I'm calling in is going to be a really up leveled version too.
I love that. Let's dive into that more, as far as like you attract who you are, that kind of energy, that kind of I guess like law that's going on in the universe. Can you dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah. So like attracts like, and when it comes down to like, I had no problem making my compatibility plan, because I believed, I was like, oh, I am these things. Like I'm calling in someone who takes care of their body and eats healthy. Like that's an alignment, and that's easy for me to ask for because that's who I am, right? That's what I value. When it comes to it's all about, what are you a match for? And it's, half of it is, yes, choosing what you want, choosing what you desire. Then the other half is, okay, who do I get to be now to be a match for this? And like, when I think about times where I've attracted men who were toxic, when I've attracted less than I deserved, like I look back at who I was, and it was like very low self-worth, people pleasing, desperation, all these things that are, I've worked through, but I was a match at that time. So I think it really takes honesty too, like really looking like, okay, how have I been a match for this? And what do I get to be a match for now?
What do you think about the people that we surround ourselves with, and how that impacts our dating and attraction effectiveness?
Yeah. So it's interesting you brought that up, because, when you are single, you typically have friends who are single. You also have friends who are married. But when it comes to like you're going out, you typically go out with your single friends. So a lot of women, like, let's say that you've been single for a while and you're becoming jaded, but you're committed to changing that. Then you have a friend group who breathes jadedness down, your throat in the conversations when you're out, or that men suck, like all men are liars. Oh my God, I'm going to die alone with 12 cats. It's never going to happen for me. Like, that's what you're letting in, and that's influencing you, and that's becoming your reality. And then at the same time, it's like when you spend time with people who are great examples of the type of love you want, it's like, okay, well, what thoughts were they thinking to attract this? Like, where can I learn? So to answer your question, I think that has a huge impact. And I think in every area of life, but when it comes to like single, and it doesn't mean get new friends, but also be willing to interrupt the conversations that are happening. And I've encouraged my clients, and they've done this, like telling their friends, like, hey, like, I know we've had a really rough go with men in the past and we've been hurt, but like, I'm committed to attracting my king. And I know me talking negatively about guys isn't going to do that. Like, I want to celebrate men and I want to call in what I want. So I would love if we can shift this conversation right now. And that their friends are normally like, okay, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm in for that. So I think it's just about being like asking for what you want and not being afraid to interrupt what's happening.
Be unapologetic about it. I love it. And also it's like being willing to have that conversation, and like I think you said the word disrupt whatever energy has been there, whatever conversation has been there, to create a new one. And that takes courage to like say, hey girls, like I've had a lot of fun having this conversation about jadedness and how guys supposedly are, and like I am so freaking committed to having an amazing relationship. So like either we can talk about like how awesome guys are and celebrate them, because that's what we want to attract to us. Hopefully, we're able to have an energetic level conversation with them. Like, what are we attracting, ladies? Like hopefully we can say that. And if not, then say, okay, well, if not, then I'm just going to make it a non-negotiable that we don't talk about negatively about guys. And like those, I mean, if you want to share something, if you want to like get something off your chest or something like that, then I will listen. But at a certain point I'll say, hey, I won't tolerate that kind of toxicity in my pool, because I'm creating a new reality. And thankfully I got people like Valerie in my life who's constantly feeding me beautiful, positive, inspiring thoughts. And I love social media and podcasts and all these beautiful things today, because we can rewrite those old programs and we can do these processes and things like that to transform.
Yes. I love that you said that. And I think like a big part too is like, like you said about really like saying like, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm listening to these podcasts. Like I'm elevating my mindset. And it's also a willingness to take responsibility of the past. And it's like, okay, what thoughts have I been thinking that have gotten me here and kept me here? What words have I been saying? The friends that I'm around, like what, like how has that affected me? So that willingness to really look at what hasn't been working and how we've been, how we generated that.
Yeah. I love that. It's like really taking responsibility, taking our power back, that we create our reality, whether it's favorable and what we want or whether it's not what we want, like then we can shift it. Then we are remembering and like resourcing ourselves and saying, hey, I'm co-creating this reality. If I want it differently, then if it is to be, it's up to me, so to speak. And I will create it differently.
Yeah. We have the power.
Yeah. I love it. What effect has having a sisterhood had on your ability to impact and serving your clients?
Yeah. So like really just having women who believe in you and cheer you on, it's so, so huge. And that is also another way that I'm so grateful for Instagram, because I feel connected to so many like-minded women every day, because we are doing the same type of work. We're in conversation. We're cheering each other on. We want to see each other win. And I actually had a really hard year. Like around this time last year was when I was really committed to elevating and shedding a lot of beliefs that didn't serve me. And a lot of that was people pleasing, really like dimming my light, holding back. And, because of that, I felt like I wasn't super understood by my group of friends. And I really intuitively felt, I was like, I'm not being supported. I'm not being cheered on right now. And it was a really unsettling feeling. And I also can take my part and say that I had been people pleasing for a long time and, just really shrinking myself to accommodate other people. And so I really, looked at, okay, who is my circle? And am I okay with having a significantly smaller circle if that means that they are sisters who support me and want me to win and genuinely cheer me on? And that's really what I did. So every woman gets to have that. And I'm happy you brought this up because that's exactly, what I create in my program, Fall in Love, which I just closed doors yesterday. And we already have 7 amazing women, and we're going to have a couple more women joining. And this is a sisterhood. It's a container for women who are single and they're committed to doing this unsexy work, like you and I talked about, doing the inner work, and then also taking action, taking inspired action, and really supporting each other, because it's very abnormal to be dating and then to have friends who are in the exact same spot who are committed to working on their mindset and changing their reality. So I wanted to create that. And the last round of Fall in Love, holy crap, the women got so close. They ended up meeting up in person, like FaceTime each other. And like just yesterday, a girl posted a picture of her and her boyfriend. They just became official 2 weeks ago. They were in the last round of Fall in Love. Literally the group chat is like going off, and I was like, oh my God, like, and so it's really about having cheerleaders, having women who get in and women who want you to win. There's a lot of people in our lives who don't actually want us to win, and it has nothing to do with us. It's them projecting. It's fear-based. But yeah, like I wouldn't be where I am without other women supporting me and cheering me on. And like Petia, for example, like, she really like changed my life working with her really seeing me, like she saw me as the coach I am today. And when I started working with her, I was very like, really like guarded and didn't really show myself. And she really gave me that permission. And she's had a huge impact on my life. And she's someone who I've always thought of as a big sister. And even though, I'm no longer her client, I know that if I ever needed anything, I just energetically feel her love, and I feel her cheering me on and wanting me to win. And that's what's so beautiful about Instagram. And that's how Petia and I are connected. So yeah, like sisterhood all the way.
I love it. I'm curious because sometimes our own kind of toxic tendencies might come into the play. Like, for example, you're talking about, other times it's women in our circle who are bringing us down, and sometimes like that stuff might come up in us. Like I know I've been jealous of other guys and like kind of standoffish against them. Like, what would you recommend if we have those kinds of feelings coming up for when we see people successful in our circles?
Yeah, to look at it, like to literally look at it, and it's like, okay, what in me is like resisting that this person is having success? Like, I have 2 choices. I can either spend my energy saying that they don't deserve it, or like, oh, they're in off that, or whatever the story is, or I could really like look at like, okay, what is this in me? Like, oh, I want to be further along in my business, and I'm seeing someone who's ahead, so I can either hate on them, or I can have them show me the path. I can use this to my advantage. So it's always worth looking at, even though it's hard. But if you feel that twinge, that tug, when you see someone like announce a really big like financial milestone, or whatever, it 9 out of 10 times it never has anything to do with the other person. So it's always worth looking at, okay, what is this within me that I'm feeling something other than wanting to completely celebrate this person, especially if they're a friend.
Yeah. What is something you're grateful for today?
I am really grateful to be spending this time with you. I'm really grateful for, the fact that the universe guided us together, and that I have this opportunity to be sharing my beliefs and, connecting with you on a platform where people outside of my immediate following are going to get to hear this. Like, I'm so grateful for this world. This is hard because whenever every night Ryan and I, we talk about what we're grateful for before bed, and he'll say his one thing, then he goes, what about you? And I list out like 16 things. So being respectful of time, what I'll say is I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be in your space, to be, in your tribe, to be able to share my message, be able to, build my confidence and strengthen my message by being here. So this is what I'm thankful for sure.
I love it. What is the vision that you're bringing forth this year?
Yeah, so I'm creating more ways for women to get the support they need without having, or not having, but without like working with me one-on-one. So I'm like, how can I get my work into the hands of more women who deserve this, who are committed, and they may not be able to financially work with me one-on-one, or it's not a fit, or whatever that looks like. So my vision is to impact thousands and thousands more women than I'm currently impacting through my work and through giving value. So that could be podcasts, it could be my posts. So I'm really like, expansion is definitely my word. No, expansion was my word last year. Elevation is my word this year. So
double E's. What is this with E words, Valerie?
Yeah. So for me to feel like I'm elevating, that would mean impacting more women. So that's really my vision, is bringing this to more women.
That's awesome. My word for the year is evolve. So I love that.
I love it.
Elevate and expansion. It's beautiful. And I think it's really awesome. What is a commitment for you in how you show up with your boyfriend Ryan, and like how you want to enhance and supercharge your guys' relationship?
So interesting you brought that up. A lot of it for me is I'm noticing a lot of like old triggers coming up. And so, for me, it's like the deeper you get with anyone, the more like painful it would be to ever lose that person. And so I, like most people, have that fear of abandonment. It's like the more he loves me and the more I open myself up to receive his love and give his love, it's like, oh my God, I'm aware of how much I love him and how much it would hurt to lose him. And so sometimes I see myself falling into old patterns where it's like my ego feeling like I need to protect myself. So my commitment to him is to just really always look at that and really take ownership and responsibility for when that comes up, and do my part to be the best partner I can be for him.
Do you mainly focus on online, like tribe building and marketing, or do you also do stuff locally?
Yeah, so I'm 100% online right now. I see myself in the future doing workshops, having live events like pet tiaras. I definitely see that. And right now, what's really calling for Ryan and I is we're actually going to be completely nomadic. So our lease comes to an end in March. And so we were like looking at apartments. We wanted to sign a lease in Little Italy in San Diego, and just something felt really heavy about it. And what we realized is we have that desire to travel, and we have that desire to, not feel like we need to be tied to one place. San Diego is home, and I see us spending a lot of time here, but we're just going to like Airbnb it. And so with that, it's like, that's where an online business makes sense for now, but I'm always open to expansion in the future.
I'm curious, do you have any like things on the bucket list while you're traveling or adventuring? And a second part to the question, which I can ask again, is any communities or causes that you want to impact while you're traveling the world?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think we get to be super intentional about that, because we're clear that we're creators, just like you and Petia. So I know you two went to Bali and like you hosted a retreat there. And that's like, I'm sure that the energy and the visions that came to life when you were there, it's like you don't get that in Vegas where you live, right? It's just a different environment. There's so much there. So like him and I, as we're growing our businesses separately, we're clear that we get to be in a space where we feel like we can be really creative and, create more to serve more people. So that's really like the vision. And And that's something where I would love to talk to you and Petya, like offline, of course, about like things to do in Bali. And yeah, I always want to be involved in a higher purpose and a higher cause. And I believe being in contribution, I would love to look into organizations to support and really contribute to while we're traveling.
Is there anything that like you feel would just naturally grab your heart as like causes or let's say injustices that are going on in the world that you would love to see end?
Yeah. So like, I definitely think like sex trafficking, that's one that's like, so major to me. And like, supporting women who have been through significant trauma. I've had childhood sexual abuse in my life, and, healing from that opened up everything for me to be able to love and let love in. So like, that's my immediate response is to support women who have had trauma like that, and to show them, they get men are safe, and they get to be safe in love. And there are so many amazing, loving, vulnerable men out there who are going to take care of them. So I can see that. I could see sex trafficking causes. I've always had a thing for animals, so anything to support animals. And there's so many causes, it would be so hard to pick just one.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I love what I'm hearing so far. It sounds like they're at least in your immediate like awareness, like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And I think that's number one is like, hey, what are the options? And then now that you're aware, you will align with the right opportunities for you just going about life and enjoying life.
Yeah.
So a similar kind of question with like, what are you working on this year? And also the causes that you want to support as far as like your life, it's always evolving. So there's no like wrong answer and you can always change it. But like, what do you see as like the biggest legacy that you want to be leaving at this point in your evolution?
Yeah. I believe, so I want to be a stand for possibility. And I believe the second you get a sniff of like what's possible, that's all you need to start whatever you want. That's certainly how I got the idea to start my business, was like being shown what's possible. I was like, holy crap, someone's making money for like talking about manifestation. Like, I love talking about that. So my legacy is to be the catalyst for possibility for women. Like, who knows what I'll be sharing, 50 years down the road. And like, that's what I want to be. I want to be that stand for possibility.
Ding. I love it. I love it. I just like, I see the greatness in you, like I'm sure you see it too, this vision of possibility of who you could be and who you are becoming in your life. And it's like, I just see these people like Marie Forleo and Oprah and like these badasses who are just tearing it up and delivering so much transformation and value to the world. And I just like, I see you owning that and just taking like one step at a time, it's like every day just showing up and doing your best and changing lives.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Yeah. Well, what's next for you?
Woo. So 10 years-ish from now, I will be creating augmented reality personal development games. So using technology and mixing like personal development and coaching and things like that. Like, I'm learning communication, leadership, all these beautiful things right now. And then I'll be able to transfer those skills to anywhere where I go. Sales too, right? Like, as an entrepreneur, we get to be able to sell ourselves and our vision to the people who are around us, and like why they should get involved, why someone should be a part of our company and our team and things like that. So it's like, I know I'm just putting in the foundational skills for these bigger visions and these movements that are able to transform the world. So that's like 10 years in the future, but definitely in the next years, just like maximizing live retreats, live events, like just getting really good at that. And, I've been on the journey of discovering who am I, like Petya is a couple years older than me. I feel like she's really grounded in this centered place of like who she is, right? I feel like she's so solid on that. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm quite at that point of like, it's in my soul, this is what I'm meant to be doing, like I love interviewing, I love learning, and I still think that there's a next evolution of how it all comes together and how do I articulate that and serve people. So I think really just being open, like God, source, universe, creator, I'm open, just being open to whatever's next,
Yeah, I just see you like on stage, you have such a powerful presence, and like, I know you've had a ton of practice and like interviewing and just really like, I see that, and I see like you being interviewed more, and I see you really like being like the star and like being on stage. Like I really see that for you. You're very, very powerful. So I cannot wait to see what's next.
Thank you, Valerie. I love it. I love it. We're freaking powerhouses bringing so much light and love and possibility to the world. So Valerie, our audience wants to know how they can stay connected with you, specifically, like what are their next steps? You mentioned a couple different things, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, different programs. What do you have coming up, or what would be the next steps they can take?
Yeah, so definitely want to be connected on Instagram first and foremost. I love sharing every single day on there at the Mindful Babe. Or you can look at Valerie Adams. I will come up there. And what's next is I've created a completely hands-off course called Love Unblocked that I'm going to be doing just like a little flash sale.
So tell us, what is the beautiful program that you're releasing again?
Yes. So it's called Love Unblocked, and this is for the woman who's like ready to date, and she's also clear that she has some patterns, some triggers, some beliefs that have held her back, people she needs to forgive, work that she wants to do, and she's like ready to do the inner work. So this program is going to be available for the next 2 days. You can just head to my Instagram at the Mindful Babe and find out how to hop in.
I love it. I love it. Valerie, you're a superstar. Thank you again. They can find you Instagram at the Mindful Babe. And then also you have a Facebook group. You want to tell us about that real quick?
Yes. So I have a free Facebook community, which I would love for every single lady to be a part of. It's called Confident and Committed Babes. So this group is, I love doing pop-in trainings in there and really adding value. And it's a great community for single ladies who are like super clear that they get to call in their king. So it's a really high vibe, positive group filled with so much value. So join there. I believe Chris is going to provide the link perhaps.
Yep. It's on the screen, but I can definitely put it in the comments as well.
Yeah, Confident and Committed Babes Facebook groups.
Beautiful. And then final words of inspiration while I'm typing this in.
Oh yeah. So final words of inspiration would be that we live in a limitless universe, and what that means is that you can experience whatever you want, you can have whoever you want in life. So the only limitations are the ones that you create in your mind.
Amen. Valerie, you are a superstar. Thank you so much for bringing the heat, the love, the possibility to us, and just for everything that you're up to in the world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. It was an honor.
We'll see you soon, okay?
Bye.